on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
3:31 on Mike Gill. This hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Rira Irish Pub inside the Quarter, Tropicana, Atlantic City. Stop by March 14th this Saturday for an early St. Paddy's Day celebration as the O'Reilly brothers from Ireland perform live all afternoon, celebrate St. Pat's the way it was intended at Rira Irish Pub in Atlantic City. I signed my free agent papers. I'm going to Clearwater on Saturday, and I will not return unless somebody gives me more money, and I will go to another travel destination if you choose to do so. But as of right now, I will be in Clearwater on Saturday, and I will be there for 7 crazy nights, and I will not return until the 23rd here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. NFL editor John McMullen, sportsnetwork.com. A crazy day so far, a crazy weekend so far, and it hasn't even really started yet, John. 4 o'clock is when it becomes, quote, legal. But do you think the legal tampering has possibly cost the Eagles a player?
I don't think so. The legal, tampering, 3-day period the NFL put into place really just replaced an illegal tampering because it always went on. And the fact that the league has a problem with signings, leaking out. But that's the one thing about free agency. Until you get somebody's name on the dotted line, they can always change their mind. And unfortunately for the Eagles, that's what happened with Frank Gore. What
do you make of some of the things that are coming out from Gore, saying he was a little concerned about the Eagles, the offense, Chip Kelly possibly being a little overbearing? He didn't want to, be ridden so hard as an older back here. What do you make of some of the reasons possibly Gore decided to walk out on the Eagles?
Well, yeah, Gore's going to be 32 by the start of the 2015 season, so obviously, just logically, Chip Kelly's up-tempo approach probably isn't the best thing for the legs of a running back, on the wrong side of 30. That's just the nature of it. But, at the end of the day, I think Gore's buyer's remorse regarding the Eagles, so to speak, really only amplified itself when the Colts anteed up a bit more money, coupled, with the fact the league's one truly ascending superstar quarterback plays in with the Colts. And, that's a place a lot of people want to be, and they want to play with Andrew Luck because they understand how good he's going to be for the next decade or so. The Colts are probably going to be a significant Super Bowl contender moving forward. And if you're at the age of Frank Gore, you want to make a run. And I think the bigger theory is that the Colts are a little bit closer to the Lombardi Trophy than the Eagles are.
NFL editor John McMullen, sportsnetwork.com. Free agency begins at the top of the hour. John, how about the move to bring in Byron Maxwell? Your thoughts on that? At first it sounds like, all right, you need an upgrade in that secondary, but doing some research here, is Maxwell a considerable upgrade over Kerry Williams for the money that he was paid?
People aren't going to like this, but I don't think so. That's the nature of the free agency, and that guys who get there and guys who are highly regarded are going to be overpaid, and that's what's happening. Not just with Maxwell, but every high-profile free agent. Is he better than Kerry Williams? Yeah, probably. He's an upgrade. Is he a true lockdown cornerback? I don't think so. I've never seen any evidence of that on the film. Obviously, you have Richard Sherman, you have Earl Thomas, you have Cam Chancellor. In the past, you had Brandon Browner. That's been the best defensive backfield in pro football. And Maxwell was a part of that, and he was a key aspect of it. But I think if you're looking for him to be the next Richard Sherman or the next Darrelle Revis, I think you're going to be very, very disappointed.
Now, they give him $63 million, $25 guaranteed. Obviously, he got overpaid. You got to pay these guys. But was this a move that the Eagles absolutely had to make? Did they have to make sure they got Byron Maxwell, even if they overpaid him?
Well, they wanted to upgrade it at that position, and if you're looking, the draft this year isn't really deep at cornerback, and therefore, if you want to go out and truly upgrade, especially immediately, where you're not waiting for a prospect to develop over 1 or 2 years, you got to go through free agency. And I don't want to downplay the fact most scouts had Byron Maxwell rated as the best corner in free agency. So he was the best available option, and the Eagles went out and got him. So give him credit for that. But as I said, that's the nature of free agency. When somebody's in that position, they're going to get overpaid. And they obviously think it's going to be a big upgrade over Kerry Williams. I think it's going to be an upgrade. My question is how big? You look at Kerry Williams, he ended up in Seattle. He's going to be with the Seahawks. He's going to slip right into Byron Maxwell's role, and I guarantee he's going to look a lot better in Seattle than he did in Philadelphia because of the guys he's playing with.
No doubt about it. I agree with you. I looked at the numbers last night. I couldn't believe, Maxwell, more penalties, less games, same amount of completions. He only played 13 games, so the numbers are very similar between Williams and Maxwell. It's almost like you swapped one out for the same guy almost, and that's a little – and very similar stories, guys who came from successful defenses, came here to try to rub off on other guys. I'm hoping that it works out for them. We'll see. John, were you surprised the Eagles brought back Brandon Graham?
No, I wasn't. And the bigger surprise to me is the fact that Brandon Graham didn't have a bigger role earlier in his career with the Eagles, and the fact that he was blocked. I think he's a very good natural pass rusher. I know the narrative in Philadelphia is the fact he's been a draft bust. I don't think that's necessarily true. Obviously, he's going to be a late bloomer. Partially, his first 2 years, I would say, he did have trouble adjusting. I think you've seen he's been the best natural pass rusher. I think the Eagles haven't done a good enough job of getting him on the field more, and now they will, now that Trent Cole has moved on. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with Brandon Graham, and I think that was an astute signing, bringing him back.
Yeah, here's a guy who graded out pretty good in limited time, and obviously now he should be the full-time guy. John, Jeremy Maclin, we've been talking about him for a couple of weeks. He decides to go to Kansas City with Andy. What do the Eagles do now, and did they want to bring him back?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question they wanted him back, but that's the danger of letting guys go to free agency. It's a very similar situation. Macklin's a very good receiver, but he got overpaid, and I don't think the Eagles wanted to go up to $11 million, and the fact that the Chiefs were willing to do so, and they needed a receiver bad. I mean, you think about this era of pro football and how offensively skewed it was. The fact that Chiefs didn't have one receiver catch a touchdown pass last year tells you how desperate they were at that position, and obviously Andy Reid was the one who brought Jeremy Maclin to Philadelphia, so there's a history there. They're going to go somewhere, whether it's a veteran, whether it's in the draft. They certainly have to bolster that position now because you can't go into a season with Jordan Matthews as your number one receiver. And Riley Cooper is number 2. So they definitely need an upgrade. It's going to come at some point, and I think it was a mistake to let Maclin get to free agency.
John, any thoughts on some viable replacements at this point with some guys already signing other places, other guys getting franchised? The Eagles kind of left at the altar with no choices, or do you think there are some good fits still out there?
Well, the one guy would be Michael Crabtree. I think it's pretty clear he's going to move on from San Francisco, and the fact that the Eagles are now in a desperate situation. Most of the top tier wide receivers, as you mentioned, have already been franchised, like Des Bryant or Demaryius Thomas. Randall Cobb already gone back to Green Bay. So what looked like maybe the deepest position in free agency has all of a sudden dried up. Even a guy like Harry Douglas moves on today. So there's not a lot of options like there were before, and I think that's one that's going to haunt the Eagles because they should have gotten Maclin done before he got to free agency, and obviously once they got there were teams willing to overpay him, and it's going to be a difficult thing to replace him now.
John, what do you make of Sanchez back? What does that tell you about Foles, or are people trying to read too much into them bringing Mark Sanchez back?
It surprised me. You never really know with Chip and how he's thinking, but the fact that you bring Mark Sanchez back at the number you brought him back at, it tells you one of two things. There's going to be a legitimate competition between Mark Sanchez and Nick Foles to be the starting quarterback of the Eagles next year, or the fact, what everyone else is thinking, and that Chip Kelly's going to go all in to try to get Marcus Mariota, and Nick Foles is moving on because you're not going to bring back Foles and Sanchez with Mariota, and in that type of situation, Mark Sanchez would be the veteran guy with the rookie. And if not, I think he's going to be given every opportunity to battle with Nick Foles to be the starter, and that surprises me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out there, don't know what to make of the fact that they paid him some decent money, but they paid him in line with backup quarterbacks in this league. So I guess either A, he has a starting quarterback at a backup rate, he has a competition, or he has a guy he feels safe with. You wonder if he feels better with Sanchez than he does Foles.
Well, that's the first thing you think about, and obviously he's a little bit more mobile than Nick Foles, and he has a little bit more of those skills we always talk about that Chip Kelly wants at that position. And you're right. I mean, when you're in that $5 million range, it's some backups are paid that way, and they still have that last year on Nick Foles' rookie deal, so. They don't have to allocate a lot of money. But if you think about it from Nick Foles' perspective, and the fact that if you're the starting quarterback for the Eagles again, are you really going to be able to go into a season paying him so much less than Mark Sanchez? It's a difficult thing to do when you think about it off the field, and you think about things like Nick Foles' head and how he perceives how the Eagles think about him.
Well, it should be interesting. In about 15 minutes from now, teams are allowed to officially sign guys. Do you anticipate it being very busy in 15 minutes, or do you think we've seen really the calm before the storm on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday?
Well, it's going to be busy because all those deals are going to become official. But you've heard most of them. Most of them have leaked out. And generally, I think last year there were 10 players signed in the first 15 minutes, and I think by the end of the day it was 50-some-odd players had changed teams. So you're going to see a flurry of moves. Most of them you already know about, and the high-profile guys. Still a few shoes to drop, most notably, what's going to happen with Adrian Peterson with the Vikings, and that kind of correlates to DeMarco Murray and his status with the Cowboys. So those things might take a little bit longer, but all the rumors you've heard over the past few days, they're all going to come to fruition this afternoon.
And we'll be keeping an eye on them. Check out 97.3 ESPN.com. John McMullen, the NFL editor, sportsnetwork.com, is, of course, many, many other free agent stories he'll be following as well. John, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike.
You got it.